Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is my Xi'an Scout in the hangar. So I figured I would finally take a chance and, or take the chance to make the video. I've been, kind of meandering about whether or not I was going to get it done this week, but I finally decided I would. I'd been kind of distracted with some other videos and kind of getting them together, so this one kind of took a bit of a backseat. And I mean, realistically, there's a lot of people doing hangar chats in regards to this ship. So I mean, what can I really add to it? I can give my opinion on the matter and some of the things to do with this ship, and just let you know what I think of it. Now, overall, the appearance of the ship, very pleased with it. Very, very pleased. Now, when we initially saw the parked version of the fighter, the wings didn't quite look the way they look now. They were kind of more neatly folded in. And I was a little bit more partial to that than the way it is now. But, originally it didn't have this beak down on the front of it, but now it does. And, I kind of like that. I do kind of like the fact that it kind of looks like a dragonfly, that it's kind of like when a dragonfly is kind of perched on something, but with the wings kind of folded up a little bit more. I kind of like that. I like the color of the metals and the very subtle, kind of camo pattern, where there's kind of like there's a matte finish and then a more metallic, brushed kind of almost coppery look to it, depending on how the light catches it, is really cool. And I like that Xi'an symbol, just like the four octagons. Are they? One, two, three. Are they octagons? No, octagons are 8-sided, and those are 6-sided. So, whatever. But you know what? I really do like that Xi'an symbol. And overall, artistically, it is a bit of a departure from the original concept, but I like it. I like the sort of these kind of gratings. Possibly, that's like the panels for the sensors or something like that. I don't know. I mean, that's all just guesswork, but I like it. I think it. I'm genuinely impressed with the work. There were some, I liked this finish on the winglets. I mean, there was some artwork that had come out that kind of made it look a little bit more alien and a little bit curvier and whatnot, and it was more of a departure from the original concept, and I wasn't too keen on that. But I really like how it was delivered. Now, the wingtips themselves being a different color, I kind of feel that is... I mean, the fact that color, that kind of bronze or gold, isn't really represented anywhere else on the ship, except for this little chunk down here on the front. I would kind of prefer if the red had continued out to the wingtips, but that's just, it's my interpretation of it. It's not, a fact, it's more an opinion, so... take that as you will. You might like it, you might not. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying, to me, to my eyes, it just doesn't fit. But, once again, opinion. Now, there is one point of concern. And it is, of course, the fact that this ship only has dual guns on it. Size 3s. I'm assuming at this point gimbaled. They appear to be, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that they are. If they aren't, that would be somewhat shocking. And the armament itself is... I gotta say that to introduce this ship and to only have 2 size 3 guns on it is, especially short range guns, is questionable at best. I feel that was kind of... I'm gonna play it safe, and I'm gonna say that was just, okay, just throw a couple of M5As on it, and we'll get it out there, and then we'll fill it in later. Sort of like, if you can see in the background there, the Vanguard with its nose gun in the very first iteration, when it hit the hangar, it was missing the nose gun and it just had the 4 cannons, and the autocannon wasn't really hanging there yet. So I'm assuming that this is the same thing, because really, at $150 for what is sometimes described as a light fighter, other times described as a scout, and it kind of goes back and forth, 2 guns just don't hack it. I'm sorry. It's like, you know, I have played Arena Commander, and I know that 2 guns, even if they're gimbaled, you know, even size 3s, just aren't really going to be worth much unless this thing has, you know, game-breaking maneuverability. And even then, the amount of shots that you're going to have to drive in and hit the target with, I'm just not sure that that this is really going to be enough armament for this ship. I mean, especially for the price range that it's in, the fact that it carries no cargo, the fact that the second seat has been removed. This feels like it feels like they've under-delivered in terms of armament on the ship. That is a big point of concern. Now, of course, it can be taken that this is just, you know, to get it set, to get it in the hangar, and the other guns will come later. But at this stage in the game, for the place that it's in, and the fact that it isn't not, you know, like one of the things that you can say about the armaments on the Saber being, you know, somewhat lightly armed in certain respects, I mean, especially if you go with a gimbaled setup, is that it's a stealth fighter, and since we haven't really seen the radars in game yet, so we really don't have a full scope of the stealth mechanics and how they'll work in the final game, we can make allowances, even though that the Saber, you know, the Saber has kind of a light armament, not really all that light, but, you know, not all that great either, but, you know, we can make allowances. I mean, say, you know, but it's going to have stealth, and so that might turn out to be like a really serious, you know, not so much a weapon advantage, but a gameplay advantage, so we can, you know, we can just kind of go, you know what, wait and see. But with this ship only having 2 size 3 guns, that's troubling. I mean, that really is troubling. It's very much like when you look at the Vanguard and the armament on the Vanguard, which is $250, and then you compare it to the armament on the Redeemer, which is also $250, and that is a very striking difference. And when you look at all the facilities that come with a Redeemer as well for $250, you start to really ask questions about the Vanguard, which is one of the things that one of the reasons why I think CIG has been very quiet about the Vanguard lately, is because now I think they're kind of coming to grips with the fact that, oh shit, what do? We, you know, how do we really kind of sell this now? Because, you know, resiliency, if you take that thing into Arena Commander, you're going to find out about resiliency and maneuverability and which is worth more, you know, maneuverability or speed or resiliency. When you're that big of a ship, resiliency isn't really going to help that much when just about everything can outturn you and just whittle you down irregardless of its size. So I think that this ship might be in the same boat as the Vanguard. I think that it's not in such a bad position that the Vanguard is in, because it's difficult to see how CIG is going to kind of bring things around for the Vanguard without making the Vanguard ridiculously OP. I've made my thoughts known on the subject, but you know, we're going to have to wait and see what CIG does with that. But in regards to this ship, I mean, this can be fixed. I mean, you could go quad size 2s, and I would consider it, yeah, that's good. That's good armament. Quad size 2 gimbals, Sure. Quad size 4 or size 3 fixed? Sure. Absolutely. Now, if these are two size 3s that are gimbaled and you can take them up to, say, size 4s fixed, well, then that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. And now, now we're talking a whole new game. But we don't really know that yet. And we don't know if they're going to go in that direction because, they're being kind of quiet on the subject. So, overall, my thoughts on the Xi'an Scout are overall looks and appearance, great. The speed, supposedly 270 meters a second. Awesome. I like that. Maneuverability, really can't quantify or qualify that yet. So, optimistic. Armaments, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But if this is going to be just two size 3 gimbaled guns, then I think that you need to kind of sit back and look at that for a second and just kind of confront the reality of the way the game is right now. And even though you can say, looking forward, the game's going to develop, the game's going to change, there's going to be balancing, yeah. But I think that this armament is weak. And I think it's very self-evident that this is undergunned to the point that I would say it shouldn't be hitting the street like this. So, I'm willing to give it a pass because this is just the first stop in the hangar. Maybe they were just like, okay, just put some guns on it. Let's get it out there for the people. Good, fine. If that's what it is, then fine. But if this is going to go into flight ready with only two size 3 guns, that's a little troubling. And I think that when you look at issues like that, and issues like the Vanguard, I really think that maybe there needs to be like a person on the staff who says no, you can't put it out like that. You need a little more. It needs a little bit more oomph. I really think there needs to be someone who can just kind of reach out and just kind of go like, no, wait. Let's talk about these armaments because, it's probably better to deliver something maybe a little bit more powerful than you intended, and then to use that to make your case to say, like, we gotta curb this just a little bit, rather than deliver something that's underpowered and then it's gonna make people kind of go like, really? I think in this case it would be better to over-deliver than under-deliver. So armaments, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully CIG kind of sees things the same way, because two size 3s, gimbaled or not, I just can't see that cutting it. I mean, if that was two size 4s gimbaled, yeah, I would be like, you know what, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty darn good. But two size 3s gimbaled, even? Nah. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. Anyways, that is my initial opinion on the Xi'an Scout in hangar. The Car 2 All, the APOA Car 2 All. Hopeful for the future. Hopeful we'll see a bit of a rethink on the weapons before it goes to flyable. But, yeah, so far, I think that they're doing a great job. Just gotta look at those weapons. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.